Right. Good morning, traders. Wow. Some crazy moves we have in all the markets. I had to play fly me to the moon because that's basically what we did this last week in the indices. I want to talk about this move that we had, but let's make sure that you hear me and see my screen because no use talking to myself, right? Mr. Kyle.
Yep, hear you loud and clear. Screen's looking good.
All right. Well, let's start with this ES here. Let's look at this market profile. This highlighted area was just a lot of coiling price overlap in the uh, last 4 days. This was Friday, and I'm sorry, this was Thursday, Friday, and we kind of stayed in between the high and low from Thursday and Friday, and price overlap and just no super hardcore direction, but you have to consider where we're at. So we made new contract highs not too long ago, last week, right? Thursday. And yesterday we rallied and tested the previous US session or the overnight highs, kind of double topped, and then Asia opened up, as you can see here, right here, and took it up by a couple ticks, put a poor high and put the poor high in, which, basically we couldn't go back up there and take it out, backed off. Very typical when we're making these contract highs. Here's the all-time high, the contract high, and all-time high, which is 97 half, and that was last week, right? Um, this 58 area is probably going to get filled. I'm sure that we'll have at least, not sure, never sure of anything, but I think we'll have a test of that and get above there. This 25 area is kind of like the top of this trend, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And top of the ledge and where the market may first at least attempt to get up there. Above there, there's not a whole lot. There's some measured moves for me at 58.46. So 58.26 is very possible early in the morning. At least we'll see if they try to attempt to take out this overnight high, which they usually like to take out the Globex high. Right behind it, three handles up, is the all-time high in the ES, right? Um, Meanwhile, my pivot will be on the opening right here at this 57.84. I expanded yesterday's um, structure here that we had the US session because it's nice to look under the hood so you could see side by side what a 30-minute bar chart looks like if you expand this out. And we do this often, right? So you could see right here from the opening, the high of the first 30-minute period turned out to be the point of control where we just kept rotating around. After making this low, getting down to the bottom of this whole coil, we came back up pretty quickly, and then we had price overlap, had one more test down, held this high volume node. This area right here was the high volume node. You could see over on this side, right? Hang on a second. Where we kind of held up. We did a quick dip, got rid of the weak longs. It's funny because online with some of the traders get a little bit antsy and they're dying to sell it, and you have to remember it's never too high to buy, and it's really hard to do that. But we caught the move on the close by buying it, right? I mean, even though we were on the highs of the all-time highs, the very end of the day, what did the market do? Um, these long and short funds have to get netted out, right? This was yesterday. When we bought it here, you wouldn't think like, oh, they're going to go higher. Yeah, it looks, when you see this kind of formation near the top, uh, the knee-jerk reaction is that, wow, they can't take out these highs. We're going to break, right? No. The long and short funds, the way they work is they get netted, and the imbalance was pretty decent to the upside. We're near the all-time highs. Why would you want to fade it into the close? So not an easy trade. We bought it, and basically only was two handles, and we got out near the all-time or the previous overnight highs. So just remember that. It's funny because uh, that's what a Jesse Livermore's quotes too. It's never too high to buy or never too low to sell. There's no such thing. And that's from 100 years ago. Anyway, um, so this bias that we have can be really hurtful when you're trading. Now, let's get back to this. We're near the top. You can see the Europe session is filling in single prints from Asia and all-time highs right here. I would not fade this. I think the market can hit this 58.25 area. Now, if you look at, let's just do this for a second. We'll blow this up. If you were to just uh, take a look at this, yeah, and just drew, if you were to draw in the top of these two, I don't have it drawn in on here. It comes out to around that 58.25. But at the same token, 25, 50, 75 are also just psychological, like little stopping grounds for a lot of these markets. Meanwhile, I want you to notice this green extension bar that we had here, right? Um, Let me get my pointers out here. Right here. Not only did we get above the high of the 30 high moving average on the dailies, which I look at, but it's a PAV buy. So we went green here and we have never turned red. These aren't obviously, you can see they're not up and down bars because some of these bars we had down days, but this is telling us there's no turning back. The momentum's still strong to the upside, just like this one. Now we've got this one. So let's see how the opening pans out after the first 15 minutes. We don't have anything shattering as far as numbers go. So we'll let this market kind of open up, see if we get a little move up. And then after we get a move up, if we get back below the pivot, we can go to the other side. But breaking out of this big coil, sideways overlap, whatever you want to call it, consolidation. And this is a bullish consolidation when you're near the all-time highs. You can't deny it until proven wrong. Until the market starts to move lower, if we take out the previous US session lows from yesterday, right around that 54.55, the market can continue then to do a little long liquidation, nothing major, but we could move lower. But for the time being, looking pretty good, right? Same with this, the NAS. Now, the NAS, you got to remember the NAS is still a little bit ways from its contract highs, all-time highs, but the NAS also led the way to the promised land last year and the beginning of this year. So when they came off, they came off hard, but of course they were the ones that were more overextended, right? So, but they're catching back up. Same thing though, if you look at this structure, it's very much the same as the ES, right? We opened up, number came out, boom, we sold off, but then we had equal swings to the upside. And the only difference is the NAS did not confirm making a new high and taking out the overnight highs during Asia or Europe. So they're not quite as strong, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, so close for us to go take out the highs from yesterday. But the pivot comes in at this 2159.60 area, the top of Europe at the moment, which happens to be the point of control, right? So you can see what we're doing here, basically a little barcode, yeah, back and forth, back and forth. That's how the market has been lately. It's been a little bit on the choppy side. But if you can do a step away and you maybe look at a 30-minute or a 120, you'll see, you know, this a little bit clearer. But right now, these volume candles are just showing a lot of chop, and the 5 minutes showing a lot of price overlay. All right, let's go take a look at the crude here. Um, Real quick, the crude now, the crude just tested that $70 mark is just big number, right? 70, 80, 90. And the crude for more than any other market, those numbers are very big, right? So we did a quick little test, got below this 70 level, but that was definitely a fade and definitely a buy for me for the time being, because this is like the inside pocket, low volume test below 70 here. Below, we've got some pretty good structure here of support. So I'm not saying we can't go back down there, but that was a nice buy this morning. And we could trend back up, fill this cave, and maybe get up to the previous US session lows, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this gap so we can keep an eye on it as the market's trading, just to remind us where the gap is, right? So here's the gap from yesterday's low, US session low, to the current high that we uh, just made. We got up to 52. So uh, anytime you see this, a gap down opening with this spike over here, it was a little too much too fast. Um, you'll at least catch a little bounce and then maybe a retest later. But I think we could slowly work our way back up to maybe 7106 to 7110. The pivot for me comes in at 7124, which, by the way, the pivot for the ES. And then, did I mention it? Let's see, comes in at 82. I just to 83. All right. Uh, so this crude looking like it's just going to catch a little bit of a bounce here. We're slowly filling in this gap and may continue, and we might get back up to 71. All right. Let's just take a quick look here how this looks on here. And let me do a daily. So also, if you look at the crude, hang on a second, we came out of this big triangle, right? And if you just look at it this way, kind of, and now we had a nice extension below it. You had PAV cells all the way down, and you can see after this low that we made here, this spike low, we're still in a nice uptrend, and we still have a PAV reversal green bar straight up. All this is just a little checkpoint back down to the 20 EMA, the 30 low on daily low SMA, and of course the 10. So, and we're working off some of this overbought for the time being. So don't get too crazy. I mean, I think the $70 market's a big area. If we get back and we take out the current lows, that's different. And if tomorrow we take out today's lows, I think then you've got something you can hang your hat on. We'll have a PAV sell. So that's all I got here for the crude. Just a quickie. Let me clear this up. And let's keep our eyes on filling in this gap. And at the same time, it's a cave, right? These single prints are low developed areas that need to get filled in, like a little tuck pointing. So for the time being, I think we're going to continue to try to fill this in. We already had a nice gap opening and pretty much did a quick test, and now we're moving back up. All right, so let me move this out of the way. Remember, 7120 is my pivot up here. If we happen to get it all the way above there, fill this gap, get above 7120, that would have been left us with a nice bear trap, and we can continue this rally. So never say never. Let's just follow one data point at a time. All right. Okay, back to the drawing board for now. Let's go over, give me a couple seconds here to pause, and we're going to go over the EC, the gold, and the bonds.